join us for the East Palo Alto New Library. Oh. My name is Anne Marie Despain, and I'm the Director of Library Services for San Mateo County Libraries. And we have been working with both San Mateo County as well as the City of East Palo Alto on a new library project for East Palo Alto for several years now. And we're very excited to be at this next stage in the project. We've been working with Roy Architects, and I'll have them introduce themselves. But White Architects from Los Angeles. We are so excited to collaborate with them. They've been involved in many exciting projects, including the many museums, as well as the San Francisco Asian Art Museum. And they've been working with Epicenter Arts since 2015. That's crazy. So we're starting a little bit late. I'm going to just turn it over to them. Bathrooms are out in the lobby. Please help yourself to dinner. You can bring it in here and eat. Childcare upstairs. What else have I forgotten? If you need translation services, there's headsets available. And there's lots of library staff here. Can library staff raise their hands if you have questions? Lots of people are here to assist you. Okay, let's get started.
Sure. Thanks. I'm not used to hearing my own voice in this way. It's so unnerving. Hi everyone, my name is Gregory Fisher. I am Design Director at Y. We are a multidisciplinary architectural firm with offices in New York and Los Angeles. As Anne Marie said, we've been here in this community, broadly speaking, for quite some time, doing really wonderful work with you guys for the Epicenter. I want to introduce also Kulubat Yantrasast, who's our creative director and founder. Slide. I'm going to go over here.
Perfect.
So we've been you guys are seeing sort of the beginning of pulling together some of the work that's already been done here on looking at what are the needs in this community with regards to the library. So there's I'll take you through a quick overview, maybe. Oh, that's... There we go. So just a quick roadmap to what we're going to be doing today. We'll take a look at what the goals are for the workshop. We'll do a quick reassessment of like what the need, a quick recap of the needs assessment. And then we'll take a look at some intentions for the project that we've set up that we like to have very simple, broad goals for the project that guide us through the process, and we can always kind of check against those things to see if we're hitting what we need to hit. So we'd like to get your feedback on those. We're going to introduce you to the site. Pretty excited about where it's potentially going. And then we're going to go through the functions of the library, which we call the program, in detail. And then we'll take a look at two different approaches for fitting the library to that site and distributing those functions across the 2 floors of the library. I think we might have to do next slide for you. So the goals here, we just want to introduce the site to you. We want to gather feedback on the core functions, and we want to get some feedback from you on the 2 different proposals that we've made, and then we want to, well, all of it, we want to hear what you think. So next slide. One of the things we've learned from pulling from the community of what we need here, in a nutshell, what we want to provide is a place where people can come together to connect, to share resources, to gather resources that they don't have at disposal, to explore, learn, and relax. Sort of a playful, fun, safe environment for learning. We want it to be spacious. It should have a variety of outdoor spaces and access to natural light. Those outdoor spaces should be usable for kids or for reading or for eating. Ample places to sit in a variety of different types of contexts. So personal space, natural light, access to technology sort of pervasively through the space, and a separate children's area that's almost as big as this entire library. An art making and exhibition, and we'll get to how that ties together with the site. And then access to community resources, which is pretty important. And then also just the ability to, you know, do whatever you kind of want to do, let off steam, and get a little explore new things. And then culinary literacy. We're going to explore that in a minute. Next slide. A little bit similar to what we've just been saying, it should be a stimulating environment, something that encourages learning through exploration and play. It should be enabling. It should put the resources at your disposal. It should be flexible so that as the community evolves, the space can evolve with it and the functions as well. That's always easier said than done, but it's something that we do in a lot of our work. And it should be integrated. It should become really a part of this community. It should be part of the civic commons. It should be part of that cultural center with the epicenter next door. And then, yeah. So the site, we are here right now. And the new site is adjacent to the Epicenter Arts. It's this portion right here. So this is Cooley Landing as you drive out to Cooley Landing. Pulgus is the main cross street. So next door you have Ravenswood Health Clinic. You have the Ecumenical Hunger Program almost directly across the street. If you know Borman Steel, that's our neighbor. So the primary school will be going just down the road. There's the existing charter school, and of course the Phoenix Academy as well. So it's in a pretty interesting, a good neighborhood. Next. So this is zooming in closely and showing the upcoming epicenter, which is your next door neighbor. The site is this entire portion here that's hatched. Just for a number of reasons, we're portioning out the site so that the building would be closer to Epicenter Arts and the parking would be further away towards Borman Steel. We have a large easement that's not recorded here, but it's an area in the back of the site where we can't build. It's about 30 feet, which is roughly as wide as this space here. So we're biasing the building towards Epicenter Arts so that we can have a closer relationship of the outdoor spaces and also share some of the functions, which you'll see in a minute. And also worth noting, great access in terms of public transportation. Just to give you a fast forward for those who haven't been following, but the Epicenter Arts, this is what it's going to look like, except as a photograph. So this is the corner of Bay and Pulgus. There's a large cafe at the corner, which is open to the public. Sort of bleacher type seating, very, very active and porous ground floor that the public can kind of venture through, and there's a central courtyard. Go to the next slide. This shows the cafe, sort of a student youth lounge, recording studio. You can see through to a courtyard here. This is seating that can be used for performances. This is the inside courtyard, which our library will face. It has an amphitheater and an outdoor stage, and all of the classrooms on the second floor open to that space. So it's a very dynamic, active place. On the other side of this portion of the building, the theater is a parking area, which we sort of connect with. So just a quick note, I'm going to say the word program a lot, and basically think of it as function. So in your house you have bathroom area, you have living room, you have bedroom. Each of those things is a program element. The kitchen is a program element. So when you're looking at a library, a staff area is a program area. A welcome desk is a program area. The kids area is a program. So when we talk about programming, we talk about what are the different specific functional areas that are going to support the overall use of this space. So in broad chunks, we have an entry experience. We have which is this slide. It's going to contain, we're calling them concierge stations rather than a reception desk or checkout or help desk, but it's essentially that's where you would encounter staff for information or checkout books or to whatever you need. We have the overall intention is that this place, when you walk in, you get a sense of what the entire facility is like, most of what it has to offer. So it should be sort of centralized, have a good view of you can see what's going on upstairs, you can see kind of active things happening on the ground floor, so everything's within reach. And this kind of conveys, although we're not going to be building you a train station in Paris, The basic idea is that it is a large volume space, and it's not empty. So you guys are responsible for making it not empty. The Community Resource Center, so across the hall here we have a shared community resource. It's the big community room that can be folded into smaller places. Here, same sort of idea, except it's within the facility. It's meant to be someplace where you can have, whether it's a small concert or yoga or just a kids play, or actually serve as a literacy room for the Quest program. But it's a large flexible thing, and the idea also is that we have smaller meeting rooms that are adjacent to this, which could be used whether it's for small group study or tutoring, or it could be, say there's a partner organization that wants to set up periodically, like every Wednesday from 10 to 6, you have X, Y, or Z resource which is here to be present and help. So we're exploring that. There was a large request for having food in the library, and we do that, as you can see, and also with the snack program. The thinking that since we were directly adjacent to the Epicenter Arts, which has a really robust cafe, literally steps away, how can this library best serve that a function that maybe that cafe isn't? So we're talking about creating a cultural literacy center. So shifting that from, it's still a place where we can serve food, but it's also a place that can teach about nutrition or how to make tasty stuff with what you have on hand. And with an attached demonstration garden, even show you how to grow things. So connected with this space would also be a reading area that would contain cookbooks or gardening or health and wellness pieces. And so there's that with an attached demonstration garden too. Kids and family areas. This is a very significant component of the program. I would say if you're an adult right now, you're massively outnumbered by the number of kids in this room. So this would be on the ground floor, and it would it'd be mostly a big open space that's able to be subdivided into the various areas for different age groups and different uses, but also importantly, that it has a real element of play to it, very visible. So these are two examples they're European, but you can see that you can play on something, but also like go hide in it or go read and find solace. And then it's also directly adjacent to outdoor areas. Cabinet of Curiosity is a working title for could be Exploratorium, but it's more of the Makerspace. The Culinary Literacy Center might be considered part of the Cabinet of Curiosity, but it's the teen space and a makerspace, which could be joined together, sharing staff. The idea of the teen space is that it's a place where the young adults can kind of call the shots. Relevant reading material is there. And then the makerspace is something serving all ages that can teach, whether it's sewing or DJing or whatever, so digital making. And then also part of this would be the virtual reality lounge. So when you drop off your kid next door at Epicenter and you have an hour and a half to kill while they're in a lesson, you could go next door and put on a pair of VR goggles and go snorkeling in the Galapagos, or check out a current show at the Tate in London, which is increasingly becoming an available reality to us. So it's a really, really wonderful way to broaden our horizons, standing right here. And then, of course, there's the large collection study area, which should be really beautifully naturally lit. We're trying to push for it to be north-facing, so good light, good volume, shelving, and lots and lots of independent, workstations and study areas, and a quiet work area. I'll show you on some of the plans that we're trying to gather together some of the group study and quiet work areas, so that it doesn't impact some of the stacks area. Staff resource area, not to be overlooked. I think healthy staff makes for a healthy community. We want to keep people happy, and we want to attract good talent and keep them. So I think we want to pay attention to this area and not just have it be kind of left over. So we want to make it again, also light-filled, Would be wonderful if there's some way for the staff to actually see what's happening on the floor, to keep just have a pulse on what's happening within the library. And next slide. And then of course outdoor areas. So I mean, one of the benefits of putting the library right next door to Epicenter is Epicenter Arts has a very, very active outdoor space. A lot of the area is actually intended to be used and designed to be used. So by putting ourselves adjacent to that and configuring the building smart way, we should be able to use those spaces for ourselves. But we also do have, because of that easement in the back and with the front, we have ample outdoor space and we have wonderful weather here. So we'd like to see, I mean, this is it's a floor grub, it's just up the way. Potted plants and, large volumes, shaded volumes, places to sit outside and have a bite or read. Similarly down below. All right, now I get to the meat. So, thinking about this, we have a kind of square site. You want to go to the next slide. So we tried to come to two sort of very different ways of doing the same thing, which might seem futile, but we've called them, just for working names, we have the puzzle and we have the boomerang. I'm going to first talk about the puzzle, or the jigsaw. So this is kind of how, when we think about occupying a site, we think about how do we want to encounter those different functions? How do we want those different functions to relate to each other and also to relate to the outside? So, when we look at this, we have Epicenter Arts with this great outdoor open space, amphitheater. We have actually kind of a beautiful tree grove and a passage from their parking that comes here. We also have Bay and Pulgas, where there's a great corner view. So from Bay and Pulgas, which is fairly high traffic, a lot of people will be coming from that direction, whether the bus stop or on vehicle, they would see this corner. So continuing that kind of pulled back portion and creating a welcoming plaza here, and then when you come in, having the cabinet of curiosity in the community space kind of right to either side of you. So there's a buzz of activity immediately when you come in, you sense that this is not your father's Oldsmobile. And then the kids space adjacent to this kids garden, sort of a private, secure play area. And then also a separate entry from the parking. And the next slide shows you, if you sort of extrude that into a volume, we get this nice relationship between all those things and the connection to the outdoors. So once you step in to the front space, you're in a central volume and you can see outside pretty much everywhere, but you can also see all the stuff that's available to you. Second floor. So the second floor is quieter, it's elevated, and we start looking at creating outdoor spaces that look at views. So this, once we're upstairs, we have the primary kind of reading rooms with more of the little work areas and the quiet study area overlooking the entrance. So there's a covered entry that's created by this overhang. We put the Culinary Literacy Center kind of at the center of it with an outdoor cafe eating area. So there's some activity here and seeing what's going on in the street below. And then we have the staff offices over the entry from parking. And then a sun terrace, which would either be reading areas or just simply planted. So this is what the two plans look like. This is Pulgas down below. And so Epicenter, this is the first floor. Epicenter would be over here, covered main entrance. You come in, and there's sort of concierge at the center. But all of these, this is a hole in the floor, for lack of a better term. So when you come in, you can see right up into the main reading area. And then these curved walls would be something that would be great for exhibit. So we can show work of students and whatever's produced in the Makerspace or what's going on in the community. And then, so you should be able to see through them. Kids have a great access to this very large outdoor space behind here. And then the community room is easily accessible from parking and from the main entrance. Elevator is the red square. Upstairs, just a big collection area with lots of seating available outside. Your workrooms over here. Kitchen, again, the Culinary Literacy Center with staff. So now we're going to talk about the boomerang. Slightly different. For this one, the entrance is not on the corner, we're really looking at emphasizing the continuity of this courtyard from the epicenter. And so the orientation of the entry is more from Polgus, having a more urban setup of that piece. It's not a Grand Plaza, but we're shifting that Grand Plaza to the continuity of this piece. So we actually have, similar to the epicenter, we have our own internal courtyard. The community activity room would be here that could open up into that space. The Cabinet of Curiosity, which would be the teen and the Makerspace, or the Culinary Literacy Center, and the Makerspace would be downstairs onto the central. And of course, kids and family, which is really kind of, we don't have a whole lot of options on where we would put that. It's a very large piece. So we're always putting it, biasing it towards that back site area. So next slide. So extruding that up, you can see where we get the name Boomerang. Looks like a croissant or a boomerang, but it really is something that's in kind of a nice dialogue with epicenter, and still has this kind of relationship between the two, although it's slightly different. Second slide. So upstairs, we would have similarly a connection between the two visually, between the two floors, but we do have two decks. One would be more of a reading terrace that faces Bay and Polgus. The other would be, with the teens here, would be more of an active deck where teens could look and see all the things that are happening over an epicenter. And then along the south side, where the sun is a little stronger, we would have the meeting rooms because they're a little more closed off. And the staff also, again, on this side. So we'd have a nice sun terrace here with some dry plantings. And this is what it looks like in plan. Again, Polgus on the lower end of the page. Main entrance covered because that upper floor extends past a little bit, so it sends a sort of signal of entrance place, but it's also pretty welcoming. Here's the opening with the concierge, but also kind of hotel lobby type seating around the perimeter. Community room that can open to this central courtyard. And then the kitchen and makerspace are together rather than the teen and makerspace in the other scheme. And then upstairs, just a large open floor plan of collection, group study rooms along the south side here, and staff and team. Teens would have direct access to this outdoor space, similar to the kids downstairs, but slightly different. That's it. So